Yes, tonight is another edition of the Soul Traveler video blog. So Kim and I are going to talk about a topic tonight, and we want to let you know that we are still active on our websites and everything. Kim has the Soul Sandwich Facebook group where she is building her. What's that?
I said, that's right.
Yes, okay, where she's building her coaching business. So if you have any issues that are going on in your life, you should definitely touch base with Kim. She's talking to people about everything from work issues, family issues, things with the kids, whatever's going on in your life. She can address those things. She has kids, she has grandkids, she has everything going on. So
I've done everything.
she can. She's got all kind. Yeah, she's got school. She's got we're going to talk about her healthcare situation in the coming weeks. There's all kinds of stuff going on with her. I also have my website. My website is midlifecrisistraveler.com, and I just spent Saturday in Death Valley. Got some great pictures there. Some areas that were. Yeah, no, it's actually it's actually a nice. It's actually.
I'm gonna go to Death Valley for the fun of it. I mean, like.
Yeah, I know, really. Well, it's funny. The first time.
I'm going to Paris. I'm gonna go to Belize.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I go to Death Valley.
I'm so excited. I'm going to Death Valley. All right, explain this, Tim.
Yeah. So yeah, I basically spent my weekend in the lowest point on land in America this weekend. That's what I went to the bottom. I went all the way to the bottom. Right. So yeah, I went to Death Valley. I was there a little over a year and a half ago, and when I was there the first time, they had had a massive flood about 9 months previous to that, and parts of the park were totally closed off.
Wow.
Roads were destroyed and everything else. So yeah, they got 3.5 inches of rain in about a 5-hour period, and they normally get about 3 to 4 inches of rain for the whole year. So for them to get that kind of rain in 5 hours, it just devastated certain areas. So
hey, speaking of Death Valley, we're going to be talking about relationships tonight.
Yes, that's definitely.
That was a good segue.
My relationships go directly to Death Valley. They don't stop go. They don't collect $200. They go directly to Death Valley. Yes.
Hey, Mike Martin is watching. I haven't seen you in a long time, Mike. It's good to see you. And Jim Alft is also watching. These are my two friends from, just two. I only have two friends from Wisconsin.
Okay.
No, I'm just kidding. I think Christy Monroe was on just a couple minutes ago. So it's nice when they come on and take a look and see what we're doing. Mike Storman, my favorite son-in-law, is watching right now. Hi, Mike.
Yep.
Okay. And just a reminder to our audience, if you want to share something or say something, please write a comment. Hit the like button. Tell us you're on. So, yeah.
Yeah, definitely. We definitely want your feedback, because that's what makes this all worthwhile. We're talking about things that are going on in everyday life. We want to know exactly what's happening in your life and what can we talk about to bring things up that maybe can make a difference in your life. We want to be there. And we're, basically what we're doing is we're building a community of people that are going to be there for each other and be able to talk about, interesting things, experiences that you've had in life. Maybe you can help somebody out. Like, we had a really good discussion a couple of weeks ago when we were talking about like abusive relationships and everything.
We did.
I mean, we heard some people pouring their hearts out. It was really a good discussion. So tonight we're going to talk about how men and women look at relationships differently. And what we're getting into is, typically when a man, let's say, gets in a serious relationship or marries a woman, they're thinking that, this is the kind of woman I want to be with.
Yes.
They don't want her to change. Whereas a lot of times the woman sees the man as kind of a work in progress, and she
wants to change, right?
Yeah, she wants to change him. She wants to make him better.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a way that the two genders approach relationships sometimes, where there can be differences as to what you want to happen in the future. So Kim, if you have some information to start with, you go ahead.
I think the problem is that the moment you start to control somebody, you lose the meaning of love, and love and control get mixed up all the time in people's minds. For example, there's a certain amount of control and dominance that you were talking about earlier with me on the phone about men not wanting women to change when they first marry them. But women are going to change. They're going to, just like any human being, hopefully people evolve. But those might not be the changes that a person was initially attracted to, right? So if you were attracted to her because she was very dependent on you, and I don't mean that in a bad way, but she really leaned on you for things that made you feel really good about yourself. And then as she gets older, especially if you married her when she was 20, there's a lot of changes that go on for women between the ages of 20 and 40.
Yeah,
right?
absolutely.
We become stronger, more independent, more knowledgeable about our bodies and about our minds and who we are. And some of us get heavier. So, you know what I mean? So that size 24 waist that I used to have, right? Like I no longer have, but boy, my heart has expanded along with my waistline. So you have to kind of grow in love, right? Everyone talks about falling in love. I think at a certain point you have to grow in love, where it's not that those things don't matter anymore, because there's always health concerns, but that you're understanding that that evolution doesn't have to leave you out. Your perception is everything. It's 90% of everything. How I perceive somebody growing. Are they growing past me because I'm too lazy?
Right.
Are they growing out of my control reach, you know, where I have to hold on to them and know what they're doing every 5 minutes of the day? If they didn't text me, I'm really, really upset about that. I mean, you kind of have to grow in love and realize that that person is alongside of you, you know, not behind you or ahead of you, but kind of growing together. And honestly, I mean, I could sit here and give you all the rhetoric in the world about how that happens. I'm still learning and growing in those areas. So I can't give you all the answers for that, but it's something I think that if you don't think about, you're unlikely to find any answers to why you act the way you do. So I personally am always taking inventory. Why did I say that? Why do I think that? How am I acting right now? Am I being, you know, am I worried that this person is going to evolve past me? You said something very important, Tim. You said, about people growing together. You had sent me that article. Do you happen to have that article handy? Like maybe we'll put that in the comments after the show is over.
Okay.
About
Which
the
one?
2 people in the 2 tubs.
Oh, yeah.
The sunset. Do you want to kind of elaborate on that?
Yeah, so basically it was a picture of 2 people in kind of like bathtubs, wash tubs, watching the sunset, and both of the bathtubs are next to each other facing the sunset, and in between there was a fire. And it talked about how relationships don't mean that you're in the same tub together. It means that you're in your own tubs, but you're both facing the same way. You're going in the same direction.
Right. Thank God.
And
that's uncomfortable.
Right, and the fire between, well, you know, let's say you're in a hot tub and you got like maybe some chocolate and some strawberries. I could go on with this if you want, but you know, anyway. So maybe some whipped cream. Anyway, so the concept really is that you're with each other, but you still have a sense of self that you don't give up. And this goes back to our first night that we talked about, you know, relationships where people kind of lose themselves in a relationship. They give up their relationships, their friendships with other people, and immerse themselves so deeply into their love relationship that they kind of lose who they were as a person, you know, as an individual. Yeah. So this whole concept, we will, like, you know, Kim said, we will post this article. It's a great article. Yeah. And it's really something that I've kind of believed in for many, many years, in that, you know, in order to contribute 100% to a relationship, you need to have 100% of yourself to give. And so you can't give up that individuality, you know, when you're in a relationship. So we will post that. One of the other things I wanted to bring up, many years ago, this is probably, I don't know, about 15 or so years ago, I read a really interesting book about relationships, and it was written, you know who Cokie Roberts is? She's the political commentator. Okay. Yeah. So she and her husband, Steve, they wrote a book
Really?
because back when they got married, like 40 some years ago, you know, he's Jewish, she's Catholic.
Mm-hmm.
That was like an interracial relationship. You know what I mean? That was like a big, you know, an interfaith relationship. You just didn't do that back then.
Right.
So, you know, they ended up writing this book about, you know, marriage and relationships and working through problems and everything. And one of the things that stood out about that book, there was a quote in there that I'll never forget. And they described marriage as making a lifetime commitment to an unknown partner. So the person that you know today is not going to be the person that you're married to 5 or 10 or 20 or 30 or 40 years from now.
Right.
So you're making that lifetime commitment to that person with the understanding that even if you do grow in certain ways, that you're still going to be there for each other. So I guess, you know, the thing that, you know, we're talking about tonight is how do men approach, you know, when they make that commitment, how do
Right.
they approach it? What are they looking at? And how do women approach it? And how is their view different from the man? And, you know, how does that contribute to issues in a relationship?
Well, listen, you tell me if this is true. Okay, so I've talked to a lot of men, and they say, when I'm looking for a woman, I'm checking off the boxes.
Yep.
You like, I don't know. Name some things. You're a guy, and I'll make
All right. So here's a few of them. Non-smoker,
ding. Okay.
uh, confident,
Ding.
intelligent. You
Right.
know, someone who has you know, a few thoughts in their head that you're not, you know, you don't have to do flashcards to get them to figure out what's going on. You know, good sense of humor.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Do you give her the movie test? Where she you sit her
what
down
do
in
you,
front of a favorite movie to see what her response is?
no.
You know, never? Okay.
No, the only I would say, see, the only test there would be like that would be if you go to the movies and she's talking the entire time, then I can't go to the movies with her. That's all. Yeah, I've done that. Yeah,
Okay.
Yeah.
Why do you
There
think
was a
check off boxes like that? I don't know if women do that. Like, I think we have a few boxes. Like, geez, does he have a car and a job? That would be nice. But I don't know if women approach picking a partner that way. It's, believe it or not, I think for women it's a lot about sexual attraction, which I think flies in the face of what most of society has told us about
no,
women. What?
really.
Yeah. Yeah, that we're looking for your eyes, you know. Or his smile.
Not like
Right.
that. No.
And that's true. That's part of it. But I mean, I think
Right.
for women, they're looking for that romantic element. Can he be
All right,
romantic?
ladies, we need more commentary here because I'm not necessarily buying this whole thing
You're
Kim's
not
selling
buying
here.
this. I don't think we
Listen,
don't check
no,
off.
because I've never heard a woman say in the top like three things was sexual attraction. I've never
Really.
heard that.
That's
Never
because
heard a
they
woman say
lie.
that.
Women
Well,
lie.
they would say no. You know what they would say? He has
What?
to have a nice ass. You
Well,
know,
there you
he
go.
but that's not. But that's like one thing. That's not
Listen,
sexual attraction. But
women
it's
are attracted.
physical. It's physical, but it's not sexual attraction.
That's not sexual attraction. Think about that.
Well, I've been told by women that the greatest seductive techniques are, you know, if you do work around the house and stuff, you know, like if you do the
That is
dishes and stuff.
so 21st century. Think about this. Women in the 1900s would have never even considered having their husbands work around the house. In fact, they didn't do all the work around the house. They could hire people to come in and do things for them, like the
Yeah, how
laundry.
many people you know did that though?
Back then, well, our family was poverty stricken, so
Right. I
like the
mean,
Porters and the Fishers on my mother's side were like, no, but a
yeah.
lot of people were able to hire
All
help.
right, so
Okay,
let's get back to the
yeah,
topic though. Okay,
let's
so
get back to
so
the
a
topic. Topic is
woman enters a relationship with a guy. They're looking at a long-term commitment. They're looking now. Christy says honesty, funny, and mature.
yeah, I'd agree.
Okay, those are like her big thing. Well, that's not sexual.
But I don't think it's that systematic when we go about it. I think for men, it's very linear. Ding, 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 ding. Jeff Anderson, you're watching. You should tell us. You should tell us what's going on. Um, I think for women, it's I don't even know how to explain it. It's more global. It's more about feeling rather than checking, right? What's my overall feeling about this man, right? Or how does he make
Okay.
me feel? Because I will tell you the secret to success is making a woman feel like she's beautiful and intelligent and and not putting her down sarcastically. I think a lot of women would go for that, and it sexual attraction might be a little different in that area where you are sexually attracted to somebody who does that with you. But and maybe they don't look like, I don't know, Cary Grant or something, but that element is there of feeling really special. I don't know if a
Right.
lot of men understand that. Do you think they
Je-
do?
Jeff and Tom, if you guys have comments, please comment because I want to see what everybody's thinking here because we need a little more feedback because I agree with some of the stuff you're saying, but I don't agree with everything. I think that I think part of it's my age. I mean, look, when I was in my like 20s, the girl had to be hot. She had to be working out.
Right.
She had to, have a certain look and a certain kind of body.
Hmm.
I mean, I'm not hung up on all that, but I mean, she has to be attractive. I mean, I can't be
Right.
with,
Right.
someone that's just,
Oh, I like this one. Has
so-
to be able to tolerate her family.
yeah, there you go. There you go. That's a
Is she
big one
related
right
to
there.
you? Is that your sister?
Yeah, that's my sister. Yeah.
Oh, oh, that's
Yeah.
neat.
That's the tolerated family. That's definitely true. That could listen. That could be a huge thing. I mean, there's times where the family will break up a couple. And we've seen that happen. So, but I guess you know when we're talking about guys, I think I don't know. I think that guys when they're sitting there and going, okay, can I commit to this woman? I mean,
Hmm.
there's a lot of other things that guys go talk about and think about that a woman doesn't. Because I've read some articles about how guys need to kind of have their ducks in a row before they can get in a relationship. Okay? So a
Right.
guy needs to be like, set in his job, financially set to a certain extent, and to be somewhat of a provider, in case, let's say, if they end up having a kid and the wife stays home for a couple of years or whatever,
Mm.
he has to make sure that he's stable in his career, that they can do that. Those are things that go through a guy's head. But I've read other things where women tend to look at when the right guy comes along, it's
Mhm.
right, and not really focused on the other things that kind of have to be in place. They don't
That's
they don't
what I
care.
meant about thinking globally. It was like it's a broader look at, whether I want to be with this person or not. It's not so broken down, but it's an actual feeling of, maybe it's more emotion oriented. I don't know.
Yeah.
A
Well, I
feeling
think
that person is the right person.
right, right,
Why do you
right.
think then, if I fall in love with someone who's the right person, or a woman does, then she
Okay.
starts to systematically now make her own checkbox of the things that she doesn't like. And we're generalizing here. Oh, Lisa Delusky said can't be married.
Yes, that
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 is
can
a
be a
good
deal
one.
breaker.
All
That'll be a
right.
deal breaker. Yeah.
So, how do you, I mean, why do you think that we revert them back into a checkbox we didn't go into?
Well, wait a minute.
Fine.
You're telling me that you get in a relationship and then you weigh the negatives.
I think women do. I personally don't. My personal opinion is probably, it might be typical that if I liked him when I got together with him, I understood that if he was always going to wear t-shirts and jeans, then he is always going to wear t-shirts and jeans, and I can't make him
Okay.
into James Bond. Vice
Right.
versa, like if I met someone who always wears suits, I'm probably not going to get him to dress casually. Or if he's loud and gregarious, and
Sure.
that's not going to go away because I got married to him, or I
Right.
committed to him into a relationship. In fact, those things are going to get louder, right? So anything that's negative, the volume, I think, is just going to go up when you're in a
Okay.
relationship because you start to relax. Judy Carr says, I think women want honesty, someone we can trust. That's a big one, Judy. That's a really good comment. But if I couldn't trust him when I was with him, most likely, once we're in a committed relationship, that let's say he lied a lot when we were dating, and now he wants to become more serious. I don't know if that lying is going to stop, or, I mean, what do you think, Tim? I mean,
Right.
I
Right.
think people can
Well,
change, you know.
I don't know. I mean, I think once a cheater, always a cheater. You know,
Okay.
if especially if it's early in the relationship, you know, or even, you know, I would say the first 5 years or so. You know what I mean? If there's a cheating issue or a trust issue like that, I mean, you can't be in that relationship. You just
Okay.
can't. You know. So I think I think this is where we're talking about. I think that before guys get serious, they kind of weigh the pluses and minuses. I think you're right. Is that it is more, you know, left brain where
Mhm.
it's a little more logical. Like they'll sit down and kind of go, okay, here's the good things, here are the bad things. Can I deal with these bad things? Is it worth it to deal with these bad things because I got all these other good things, you know? And
Mhm.
that's I think there is a little bit more logic on the men's
Right.
side. Um, at least that's the way I've done it in my past. Is I've kind of sat there and said, you know, this person, yeah, they do check off, you know, all these boxes. But I think that also I've kind of changed over the years that I don't necessarily look at the hardcore boxes. I also look at like how they handle a conflict.
Mhm.
You know, what is their temperament? What is
Right.
their thought process? What is their emotional level of handling things? Um, so those kinds of things. Now, Lisa makes a great point. Have to have alone time. You can't be together 24/7. Must accept girls' trips. Trust us, we aren't looking for another man. We're just unwinding and relaxing.
Right.
Which again, that goes back to what we said in the beginning of, you know, you need to be an individual that is healthy in order to
Right.
bring that healthiness into the
Right.
relationship.
Christy Monroe Kakuza said, hi, Christy. Do men look for someone that gives like their mother, and women look for someone that is like their father? I think that's right on myself. I think we go back to comfort. So let's say my dad,
Oh, okay, so you think like you're looking for a guy like Daddy.
I think a
You're
lot of people look for a guy like daddy.
okay,
I do, because that's what you're raised in. That's what you're comfortable with. So let's say dad hit mom in front of you, never touched you, but hit mom in front of you.
right.
That's what you were used to. Unfortunately, that is a twisted way to look at love. You grow up looking for things that make you comfortable. The human brain does not like change. This is why any kind of change is difficult to do. Dieting is difficult to do. Um, Stopping smoking is difficult to do, simply
Hmm.
because the brain does not like change. And so it will do anything to keep things the same. And I really do think that as you get older, unless you get healthier emotionally, physically, spiritually, you are probably going to look for things that are within your comfort zone. And you would think a violent or a emotionally abusive relationship, not even violent, I would say a lot of people err on the side of emotionally abusing each other. You would think that that would send up danger, 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 right?
Hmm.
They did this great study on monkeys. They put baby monkeys in a cage with a fake mother, and they put baby monkeys in a cage with a real mother. The babies that were in the fake cage, or excuse me, were in the cage with a fake mother, she had two teats, and the scientists would feed milk through those, and the baby would
Hmm.
latch on, and it would have sustenance and it would grow. But a lot of times it didn't grow as big as the monkeys that were with the mom.
Right.
The other thing was when they then showed these monkeys scenes of danger, like lions on a plane, subjected them to 3D images. The monkeys that were not attached well to the mother were not afraid when danger came.
Hmm.
The monkeys that had been nurtured by the real monkey mother, they reacted accordingly to danger. And they're finding, this is a fascinating thing, they're finding that people that grow up in very dysfunctional relationships with parents wind up in very dangerous situations later on, whether that is financially, whether that is with violence, or picking partners, right? That anybody else looking at them would say, danger, danger, right?
Mm-hmm.
They will go headlong into these relationships and say, but they were so nice when I first met them. They were so wonderful. But every single one of their friends said, don't do it. I bet you
Right.
if the 10 people are watching right now, 7 of them were in relationships where family and friends said, I don't think you should be in a relationship. I think this person is dangerous for you. And they probably said, oh, well. And I'm talking about when you're really young, because you don't have that filter of experience.
Right.
This is why getting married at 21, I think, is really difficult.
Should be banned. Nobody should be able to get married until they're 30.
Nobody should be allowed.
I'm serious. I really do. I think that would be a great thing. I mean,
yeah.
Because the thing is that, look, first of all, your brain isn't even done forming until you're 25.
Right.
And you're not even out of college until the average student now is going until they're like 22, 23 now. So, I mean, you've done nothing in your life up to like age 24, 25. I mean, you haven't really accomplished anything. You haven't, I mean, you graduated from college, big deal. Like 90 million people do that now. I mean, it's like not a big accomplishment. It's like, 30 years ago when I graduated from high school, it was like, oh, you graduated from high school, big deal. Now go do something,
Right.
But it's just that, you don't even know what you like and what you don't like in your 20s. You're just trying to figure it out, you know? And so getting to your 30s where you start really kind of forming your life and your lifestyle, that's when really people should be getting married. I mean, it's really tough getting married when you're that young. Like it is.
We all got
you're getting married.
Think about it. I mean,
well,
I got married at 21 years old. And a lot of my friends did at the same time, really super young. And we didn't feel young at the time, did we? We felt old. Like, oh my God, 30 was right at the door. Hey, hi, Greg Vickery and David Farnborough. Just wanted to say hi. We got 2 new visitors. But
Good.
Back to changing. So in your experience, not wanting a woman to change when you meet her, how true is that for you? Or how was that for you?
Well, I think that what typically tends to happen is, in the beginning you meet the representative, so you meet who you think you met, but then like 3 or 6 months later you're like, oh, hello.
But isn't that like an adventure?
I didn't know you were also on the line.
Yeah.
So you're sitting here going, oh, okay, now I have this person that I have to deal with. Okay, time to reevaluate. Let's look through the top 10 list again, shall we?
Hey, I just
debits, credits.
Yeah.
It's so now now you kind of have to reevaluate. If they were putting on a show for the first few months, now you're like, okay, so now this is the person I'm really dating. So that could be
up with them.
If I feel that there's
how big does the gap have to be between everybody puts their first foot forward when they're dating, right?
No,
Even
that I listen. No, right? I'm not talking about. She didn't do the dishes after dinner and she's going to do them tomorrow morning before she goes to work. That's not a big deal.
Okay.
What I'm saying is, you said you'd like to have a glass of wine before you go to bed, but really it's a bottle and a half. Hello? That's why when I call you at 10:30 at night, right. And you're like, you can barely speak 3 words. Yeah, it's because you're hammered every
yeah,
night.
That would definitely be a deal breaker for me. Right.
And that happened to me. So, it's like, oh, wow. Because the first 3 months, it was like great. I'm like, oh, my God, we're having so much fun and everything else. And, we only had like 1 or 2 arguments. I'm like, we're really getting along. This is great. And then all of a sudden, it's like, holy cow, the roof caved in. You know, it's literally like you're hanging out and having a nice dinner, and all of a sudden the roof caved in, and you're like, where did that person go? You know,
You know,
where's, bring them back. Hello, you know?
you know who's lucky? People that meet each other and are friends. And then something happens. The lights go on and they look at each other across a crowded room and go, why have I not recognized that my friend over there was the love of my life? And they get together because they've already tested each other out without the pressure.
So back about probably about eight months ago.
Yeah.
When I was still in South Florida, I was somewhere in Miami, and I was driving home, and I was listening to Howard Stern interview Mila Kunis.
Yeah.
And she's married to Ashton Kutcher.
Mm-hmm.
And he was like asking, like, how did you two ever get together and stuff? And she goes, oh, we were friends for years. You know, we used to hang out, and there was nothing sexual. We were just friends. We got to know each other. We just liked hanging out. We'd go watch movies at each other's houses or whatever, go grab something to eat. We were like buddies. There was no romance, no sex, no nothing. And then he dated someone for a while. I think he was with Demi Moore for a while. Right. He was Demi Moore for a while. And then she dated and everything. And then he and Demi broke up. And then they were just kind of like, you know, friends again. And one night, I think they were both at a party, not together, but they both happened to be at this party. And she was just like, you know, she goes, man, you know, I really just want to go hang out with him. You know, and that's when it kind of started to hit her. And so they started hanging out more and more. And then one night, she just kind of said, you know, I really don't want to hang out with anyone anymore. I don't want to date anyone. I don't want to do it. I just want to be with you. And he was like, wow, that's, you know, and he said the same thing. So that's how they really got together. And
maybe they were able to get that out of the way then. Do you know what I mean? Like you're gonna change. And then that's okay.
But the thing is,
you're going to change,
but the thing is that, but the thing is that, you know, how do you not get in the friend zone? You know, how are you not permanently friend zoned?
I think you have to accept that maybe you are. And then if happens.
I've had a lot of female friends over the years, you know, and we're gonna you know do a video about like can men and women be friends and stuff. But the thing is that, you know, once I have a woman in the friend zone, I don't really take them out. I don't consider them as a romantic interest anymore, I guess. I think you kind of, maybe it's a guy thing, but I think in the beginning, you kind of sort out in the beginning, all right, is this a friend or is this somebody I want to be with? You know, like and here's the thing, you know, with guys, yes, there has to be a sexual attraction. But the thing is I can't be with somebody. I could have the greatest sexual attraction to anyone. But if she is just a horrible person, I can't be with her. You know what I mean? But the thing is that because we were talking about that earlier, I said sexual attraction.
Not everybody says that, Tim. I've heard
of course.
Say before, I could hate somebody and still have sex with them.
Oh, of course. Listen, I just came from the land of, you know, arm candy. I lived in the land of arm candy in South Florida for 13 years. I mean, there are guys that literally, you know, say, I don't want her to talk to me. I don't want her to talk to me until she's saying where we're going for dinner tonight. You know what I mean? Like, they don't even want to talk to their girlfriends. They just want them to look good. You know, okay, great, honey. You know, go buy yourself a pair of shoes. Here's the credit card. You know.
Yeah.
Stop bothering me.
I thought that was only in movies.
Oh my God, no. That's there's a whole lifestyle. There's a whole lifestyle out there of that. There's a whole lifestyle out there. Joe knows. Joe Manser knows.
Oh.
He sees it all over South Florida.
On the screen than I am. I see Tammy Renee's watching. Denise Stroman is watching. Do you see those?
No.
Oh.
They're flipping through. They're flipping through for me. So I see two at a time and that's it. But yeah, there's a whole lifestyle out there for people like that where they don't really want a relationship. It's just it's a relationship of convenience, you know, to be able to go out, you know, with other couples and stuff and socialize and, you know.
That's sad. To me is sad. I mean, you might as well just, you know, hire somebody. Not in a bad way, but know what I
Yeah.
mean? The body to say, okay, you want to go to this party with me? I mean, I
Right.
don't understand why people would be that disconnected in bigger cities. Just a
It's just the
status
way.
thing, right?
It's the way. That's the way life is now. I mean, people make business deals, instead of dating now. There's a
I
lot of
actually,
that going on.
I actually had a friend who said, who was considering this man, and she said, once we get in a relationship, I'll probably change how he dresses, and
Right.
a couple other
Right.
things. She actually used the word tweak.
Yeah.
I just kind
And
of
here's the
laughed on
thing.
the phone. I'm
Here's the
thinking, good
thing.
luck.
That's not necessarily a bad thing, though. When we're talking, I guess here's what coming back
Influences
to our premise.
different things, Tim.
But coming back to our premise is, I don't mind if she says, "Hey, you know what? I wish you would wear this kind of shirt or this kind of jeans or whatever." Okay,
Really.
I can kind of accommodate that stuff and everything. But if she's like, I need you to start running 8 miles a day with me and stuff. No, no, and
Okay.
just totally changing lifestyle and everything. No, this is, look, here's who I am. This is, what I'm about. If you want to
Right.
be with me, that's great. But if you don't, if this isn't what you want, then just tell me and move on. But I think the big difference is there's a big difference between tweaking and changing. And like I said in the beginning, is that most men, okay, think of it this way. A man looks at a woman as a finished painting.
Okay.
Okay. He's buying the painting because he thinks it's beautiful and it's gonna fit in his living room. It's gonna make everything magnificent in his life. Okay.
Like to hear men on here comment
Hold
on
on. Hold on.
Steve.
The woman looks at hold
Okay.
on. The woman looks at the man as more of a blank canvas. And what do I want to paint here? What do I want on the canvas? Okay? So that's the difference that we're talking about. Where and listen, I'm telling you because I've talked to older men, like guys in their 60s, 70s and stuff, and and older women too, and it's just and the guy and some of these older women, it's like the husband retires and now he's home all the time and they're like, get this guy away from me. I don't like him. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
If I only had to deal with him for 2 hours a day for dinner and he's going to work and everything, that's great. You know what? I can do 2 hours a day. He's around me 12 hours a day. I go to the grocery store to get away from him.
He
I'm going
follows
to,
around. Yeah.
right, so yeah, and I've talked to people who make those comments, and the thing is that now some of these older women, now that the husbands are retiring and stuff, and the guys are around all the time, the women are like, I really don't want to be around this guy, like this
I
guy,
knew a couple. Listen to this.
totally different lifestyle they want now, and it's
Just to preface this, different state than Pennsylvania. I knew a couple, and they were in their 80s, right? They'd been together for 60 years.
mm-hmm.
And she looked at him one day and she said, I'm going to go live at the assisted living home and I'm leaving you. And she left
Mm-hmm.
and moved on with her own life. And he was just destroyed over the whole. You wouldn't think anybody would divorce somebody at 86. You know what I mean? You'd think, okay, I'm just gonna
Yeah, I'm gonna ride it out. Right.
yeah, I'm just gonna write it out. But no, she was very adamant about living her own life. And I felt really bad about that. But that's, I think, what happens when people try to change each other. I personally, I know I'm going to sound like I'm Pollyanna and I'm perfect and I'm not perfect, but I don't think I've ever been in a relationship with somebody that I said on the outset, I'm going to change you to what I want you to be, or had a kind of evil plan where I'm rubbing my hands together going, yeah, as soon as I get him, hooked, then I'm going to, I may have wanted to influence them. There may have been things I didn't like about them, not like about them, but like things that they did that I might have made requests on, like, I don't know, anything. But I don't think I've ever had that kind of feeling that somebody was a finished painting and I felt like I was God and I could repaint that. But like I said, I think that there's probably a lot more women out there than we think that probably feel that way. I don't know. It'd be nice to hear from some of them right now if you feel that way, that you're not. It just seems so controlling to me, and I hate to be controlled.
Sure.
Therefore, I don't like to control people. But I don't know. I do think that you can kind of generalize, though, that kind of behavior, just simply because I see it a lot in couples, particularly about how I don't want her to change. I want her to stay the same size. I want her to look as young as she did when I met her. I'm not
Well,
willing to deal with a lot of the evolutionary changes that go into being an older woman.
well, the other thing too is that, let's say a woman in her 60s or 70s, and now, like I said before, the guy is now home all the time,
Right.
and she doesn't feel like putting up with it. Maybe there is a divorce there, a separation or whatever. Now he's like, well, I didn't want anything to change. I mean, she was doing my laundry. She was cooking my food. You know what I mean? Seriously,
Taking
no,
care.
believe me, there are guys that sit there and think that, like, now I got to do all this stuff my own, myself.
Mm-hmm.
So but that's what a lot of the older guys, because
I
look,
think
here's
some
the
older
deal.
guys though change though. Like they start to do more things. They become more
But
appreciative. And I mean, and that's what I'm talking about, the positive aspect of evolving, that they become more appreciative and they do more of the cooking and they start to understand more, right? I feel like the sexes, at least in the best case scenario, sort of come together as they get older. Some of them, and those are the strong marriages where women start to think a little bit more like their husbands and husbands start to think a little bit more like their wives. Would you agree, disagree on that? I kind
I
of
think
see
it's
that
some,
happen.
I think it's some. I mean, look, I know a handful of people who have really great marriages. I
Right.
mean, really, they love each other. That like they love each other now as much now as they did 50
Right.
years ago, or when they first got together. Um, I think that the challenge for older couples
Mm,
is, when those older couples 40, 50, 60 years ago, they basically sat down and, here's how I'm going to commit to you. I'm going to, the
mhm,
man would be, I'll take care of the vehicles, I'll take care of the lawn, I'll take care of the house, I'll do all the big stuff, the repairs, all these
mhm,
different things. And the wife was like, okay, I'll take care of the kids, I'll cook, I'll clean, I'll, do all that.
mhm.
And they divided up the responsibilities, and so that there were concrete gender roles.
Okay.
Here's what I'm going to do for you. Here's what you're going to do for me. And it didn't necessarily. I mean, look, I've seen some other ones where the woman was the breadwinner, and went out and worked, and the
I
guy was more the at home. So I've seen it both ways. But my point is this: is that each one had a role in that marriage, and
mhm,
sometimes later on in life, all of a sudden, one of them says, I'm not happy with my role after like 40 years.
right.
And all of a sudden now it's like, whoa, what do we do now?
I think couples that stay together have, I mean, dare I say, something very new agey, but an expanded consciousness about roles, that roles can be shared, that roles are fluid, um,
Sure.
that really the commitment is about the love you have for that person and how you're going to treat them the way you want to be treated. I think my camera's slipping, Tim.
Yeah,
Anyway,
your camera's going down.
yeah, sorry, technical difficulty. I gotta talk to my cameraman. Anyhow, um, yeah, hold on. My
Like that glitch in the Super Bowl.
director's saying something to me. What? No, just
Right.
there we go. Okay. What was I saying? Okay, more of an expanded view of roles. I've never liked roles. I think that if the garbage needs to be taken out, the garbage needs to be taken out. Now, do I like to do it?
Okay.
I will wait until somebody else does it, but can I do it? Sure. And being single, I've been single now for, oh, geez, God, 8 years. I've been single 8 years now, and I've had to do a lot of the things that I would have typically relied on a man. That's been
Right.
very good for me. I remember when I first was divorced and I had to do something very technical that I didn't want to do. I think it was I had to check my oil or I don't know. and I did it, I felt both this feeling of accomplishment and this feeling of resentment. Right. Because I didn't want to be my own man. That's what I used to call
Right.
it. Now I'm going to have
Right.
to change this freaking light bulb and I'm going to have to be my own man, which was
Right.
kind of funny and kind of, I don't know, kind of Neanderthal of me to think of it that way. You know, these are just responsibilities of being an adult. And I think I had to break out of that idea that somebody else was going to do it for me. So now I think
Mhm.
roles for me are a lot more fluid, permeable. I mean, if I was in a relationship, would I want somebody to fix my car? Yeah, simply because I'm just not good at it. But that is
Right.
no excuse to not learn how to change my own tire, which to this
Right.
day I still don't know how to do. And I've asked 3 mechanics. I have said the 3 mechanics, I will give you $50 if you will teach me how to do this. And each time they just either look at me with a puzzle on their face, or they don't respond, or they laugh. That's right.
That's just
Like,
stupidity. I don't know why they wouldn't just spend 15 minutes with you and do
I
it.
give them $50, man. I mean, like,
Yeah.
you know, but so I think when you
Listen,
get out,
it's not that hard. Google's your friend. It's not that hard.
oh, it is if you have to jack up the car, and I could just see bad things happening. I just want someone to show me what to do. But that's the problem with being a girl raised in, you know, from 1966 on. You weren't expected to do
Right.
those things. You didn't have wood shop in school. I mean, you just didn't. Even when they opened those classes up, very few girls
Right.
I think I was in woodshop once and I hated it, but that's not the point. The point is that I think we rely on each other too much to do things instead of to be in the relationship, which B would be the Alexis Tobin said,
Yeah.
Kim, just, yeah, I do have a AAA membership, but I want to know how to do it. So, because you never
Just
know.
in case you get stuck in Death Valley one of these days, right?
That's right. And Michael Myers comes and, you know, visits you.
Right.
So just, there you are trying to get your car. So I don't know. I think with knowledge comes power. And I think with power and being empowered, roles and rules loosen in relationships. And I think for people who don't know themselves well, that's a very scary idea to not know who's going to do what.
Okay.
That's my opinion. And I'm sticking to it. That'll be $50, please.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Check's in the mail. Check's
What?
in the mail. The check is in the mail.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, so I guess, you know, look, I think that each couple has to figure out what their role is going to be. You know,
Why?
here's because I just think that I think it's good to have people that are going to take responsibility for certain things. If you're going to live together, look, somebody made a great point a long time ago. I saw something where they were saying, look, you can't be 100% in the relationship all the time. There's going to be times where, you know what, you're suffering, there's something wrong, and you can only be in 25%. So that other person's going to come up with 75% to be there for you. Okay? So I think it's important that, you know what, you have some basics figured out, that, you know what, this person's going to take responsibility for this or that or the other thing. And then if something happens and that person can't follow through, the other person can pick up the slack. But I just think that, you know, you just come up with a few handful of things that are important. You know, look, I most of the time I've had girlfriends that have been like, you know what, I know nothing about cars. My car is making this sound. Will you take it down to the, you know? Yeah, I'll do that, you know? So things like that. I mean, because they know if they go to the repair shop, they're going to be talked down to and they're going to try to scam them and everything else. So
but if
they're
you
less
said,
likely
I
to do
really
that.
don't want to do that, why don't you take the car down? Is she going to get upset about that? Do you think that
What?
when you make these rigid rules that if anybody wants to go outside the rule that people get upset in the relationship?
No. I mean, look, no.
If she expects
All I'm
you to
saying
take
is,
her car to the mechanics every time something happens and you say, hey, listen, I'm really tired. I think this is something you could do. I don't know. I just think you have a fight in your hands at that point.
no, I mean, if I agreed to, you know,
if you don't do your role, you don't love me.
I don't think you have to be that dramatic. I wouldn't be with someone that's that dramatic. So
Okay.
it
Well,
wouldn't
you're
happen.
talking about being with a woman,
It,
right?
no, but I just, yeah, I mean, I guess
I'm
that's probably why I'm single. But
dramatic.
it's like, you know, I just, I think that, I think it's good though if you sit down and you kind of say, you know, if you, because the way I'm looking at this is that if you're gonna like live together or get married or plan to get married and stuff, I think it is a good idea to say, here's how I'm gonna commit to you,
Hmm.
because here's what's gonna happen. You know, nobody's going to take the garbage out, and one of them's going to say, like, "Oh, I guess you can't. What are your arms broken? You can't take the garbage out, right?" It's like, just you know what I mean. It's like, oh, you know what? Yeah, I'm sorry. I wasn't feeling well after dinner. I'll take it out tomorrow morning before we go to work. You know what I mean? It's like, but I think it's okay to have like some roles that you're gonna do certain things, you know, to make life easy, and that other person is going to do certain things to make life easy, and that way, you know, stuff doesn't slide, and then all of a sudden there's a blow up about something stupid. That's all.
I like the term co-creator. It's a little hokey, it's a little cheesy, but I think it kind of says we're going to create this life together.
Okay.
Whatever needs to be done will get done.
Okay.
But
So all right, let's say if I was coming home from work and she calls me and says, "Hey, you know what, I forgot to pick up carrots for dinner, can you stop by the store?" I'm not going to go, "Oh no, that's your role." No, I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to do that. But what I'm
that's
saying is that
funny. He
but
established
if
right
she
away you're
said,
the carrot purchaser. Okay.
but if she said, "Hey, you know what, I like to do the grocery shopping, I want to do that," or if, you know, I like to do meal planning, maybe she's like more vegetarian than I am or something, so
Hmm.
she's going to go and buy certain things that she knows she likes to eat and she likes to prepare them a certain way. I'm not going to say no. I'm going to, you know, only do the shop. Come on. I mean, it's all I'm saying
I
is
didn't
that
fighting
I think it's
that.
good
I mean,
if you have. I think everybody has certain idiosyncrasies, certain
mhm.
things that are really important to them in their life, whether they're in a relationship or not. So if, you know, let's say if I was really into my car and every Saturday I go out and I wash and wax the cars, you know, and
Yeah.
she's just like, well, you know, can't we go to the beach or something? You know what I mean? And I'm like, no, I gotta watch, you know what I mean? So I think that yeah, you don't want to be rigid on things, but there's certain things that people value that I think you should respect. And
Hmm.
so if someone has a passion or a concern for certain things, like look, I had a roommate one time. When I was living in Philadelphia, I had a roommate,
Hmm.
and she said she would never live somewhere where there weren't at least two bathrooms. Like she had to have her own bathroom. That was her thing. She goes, even if I get married again someday, I have to have my own bathroom. That was her thing.
Okay.
I respect that. I mean, look, okay, you know, she didn't have like you know, a top 10 or 20 list of I must. But that was her thing. Is
Mm.
that, you know what? If this was a one bathroom, like a two bed, one bath apartment, she goes, I would never move in. She goes, because I need to have my own bathroom. I need to have like my own space for that. I'm like, okay, whatever. You know, you get the bigger bathroom. You know. So, but
I
those are,
don't
I just
even,
think that they're.
I'm not even sure what to say to all that, but
But what I'm saying is that I just think that there's certain things in a relationship that when someone says, I have a real preference for this, or I have a real, this is important to me. Okay, go ahead, do your thing. I'll stay out of your way. You know, I'm just, I guess I'm a lot more laid back than most people in relationships. I'm just like, okay,
whatever
you
you
know,
want.
yeah, yeah, okay, you want to take care of that? Fine. You want me to take care of the other thing? Fine, whatever. Okay.
Well, that's a good thing. That's a really good thing. Hey, listen, this was
Yeah,
a good conversation.
it was.
Yeah. We're going to do more of these on Monday nights at
Yes.
8:30. So tune in. They won't always be about relationships. I would say probably 90%. I know we've got a few coming up just on movies, right? On,
Yeah,
top
we're
10
doing some movie
dramas.
ones. Tina, actually, I want to talk to Tina after we get done here because our topic next week is going to be something that I want to talk to her about. So,
Okay.
um, yeah, we're pretty much done tonight. Prem, sorry you missed it, but we're here every Monday at 8:30. If you want to tune in, and also guys, share it with your friends. We're trying to build our audience here. We're trying to build a whole community of people who want to put have their input. You can comment on things. You can request certain topics. We'll talk about those things,
Right.
and share this blog with your friends, your family, whoever, and we can have a lot of fun with it. So appreciate all you guys tuning in. Kim, you have anything else?
Just wanted to say to those people that are coming in a little late, Kathy Wilson, Gina Marie, they're both watching. I'm really glad that you tuned in, but we will be on next Monday at 8:30 covering another topic. This topic was how men and women try to control each other, men wanting a woman never to change, and women wanting men to change once they're in a relationship with them. And so we've got a lot of great topics, and you can visit me at Soul Sandwich Living Better on Facebook, my Facebook page. And Tim, he has a Facebook page as well called Midlife Crisis Traveler, Tim. And
Yes.
We are really enjoying bringing these, vlogcasts, if you want to call them, to you. So I hope you enjoyed everything, and I hope you guys all have a great night.
All right. Take care.
Okay.